I want to begin by thanking someone who is my life partner, who has been with me since so long, someone who continues to ground me, the relationship that I love, the person who loves me. I would love to do that, but I can't. A little awkward. Because, I'm single.
It's been fun.
It's fine. I'm fine.
You gotta go home. Number one, you got dead.
Oh,
He's right here.
The funniest thing about that is some of y'all were going, where is he going with that? Did something happen here at the convention? No. Seriously, I just want to first of all thank Daniel and Kristen. People who know me know that is the hardest thing for me to do, is to sit and listen to people talk about me. And I love you and thank you for that. I picked Daniel because, of course, I wanted someone to know me, as an undergraduate student, and has been with me since. And then Kristen, leadership is something that is so important to me, and my now is important too. So I just wanted to say that. And to Craig Elliott, I know that Chris gave you some love, but I just want to make sure that you know that this association is better because of you. And I am committed to following your legacy and continuing the things that we've done thus far. So I just want to one time thank Craig. Now, let me turn it on. Okay, now it decides it doesn't want to work. Oh, there it was. This is fun. This is fun today.
Take return, Vernon.
Oh, it disappeared.
we heard tech.
Where's our dress rehearsal?
Okay, we're just gonna.
Oh.
Hold, please. There we go. Bam.
Yes.
My very first ACPA
Then look at the logo.
was in 1983. Susan Komovitz was president, and I was a graduate student in Indiana University. I believe you were pregnant. Is that correct, Susan? Just had a baby. Because I knew that I remember being in this huge auditorium with thousands of people, and this woman talked about her family and being ACPA president. I was overwhelmed with the number of people that were there, because this was the first time that I'd ever experienced people in the room who were doing what I did. I didn't know what was happening. It was surreal. And then I remember being at a reception, and later on in the conference, and I turned around, and right behind me was Susan Komovitz. And Susan goes, "Hi, what's your name?" And I'm like, "Whoa, okay. My name is Vernon." And she asked me questions about being at Indiana University and what that meant. And all she said to me was, "I want you to contribute to this profession." And she walked away. Drop the mic. Come on. And I remember so clearly that if this woman, who is president of this association, would take a moment to say a few words to me a graduate student in a line at a reception. And keep in mind, those plates are small, but I was filling those plates up. That there was something about this association that was important for me to know. And so that began my journey. Nancy Evans pulled me aside during the convention and said, hey, I'm a part of the Commission for Professional Preparation, which at that time was Commission 12, for those of us who remember when it was numbered. And she said, here, I'm chair of the directorate. I'm chair of this commission, and I really believe that if we're about professional preparation, we should probably have some graduate students on this commission, not just faculty. And so she said, why don't you come to a meeting? Once again, that was a start. At that point, I became a member of the directorate, and then moved into then other entities, including at that time the Standing Committee for Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender Awareness. The T wasn't even there at the time. I was there during some crucial conversations around the CMA. So that involvement really and truly moved me in a great way. This really, for me, for a bit, and I want you to indulge me for a moment to just basically know that this is going to be about gratitude for a little bit, because I'm so grateful in so many ways. So I'm going to take you on Vernon's student affairs journey, which is really Vernon's gratitude journey. We'll start off, of course, with Indiana University. Well, first of all, NC State at my undergrad. Got to tell you a quick story. So I remember on a crisp fall day during my junior year, I was walking back from taking the LSAT. I thought I was going to go to law school. I was walking back knowing in my head that I was not going to law school. That was the hardest standardized test I'd ever seen in my entire life. And I was like walking back going, well, there's 3 years. What am I gonna do? And I walked into the office of Francine Bruce, my hall director, because I was an RA. And I said, Francine, I just took the LSATs, and you know what? I am not going to law school. And she said, well, that's a good thing for you to know right now. And I said, well, but I'm a junior, and I really and truly don't know what I want to do. And she said, well, what do you like doing now? What is your passion? I said, well, I really like my involvement on campus. I really enjoy the things that I'm doing now. And she said, well, you do know that there is a career in higher education and student affairs. And I said, I'm sorry, what? And she said, yeah, you do know I have a degree, right? As a matter of fact, I have several degrees. And I said, oh, okay. Oh. And that began the journey again in terms of me looking into programs and then ending up at Indiana University where I did my graduate work. I have UC Berkeley here because I think sometimes we don't recognize the fact that sometimes pivotal things happen in your lives that you really don't realize are probably the most monumental. I did an internship between my first and second year in my master's program at UC Berkeley. Harry LeGrand was my supervisor as director of residential life, and it was the first time I had an African-American man in my life as a supervisor. And I will tell you that that summer transformed me in so many wace. And it was because of the mentorship that I continue to have in friendship with Harry LeGrand, who was also then Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs at UC Berkeley, and we continue to have that relationship. I'll also say that being in San Francisco for a summer, as a little boy from North Carolina, first time on the West Coast, my very first gay pride parade was San Francisco. Bam! Talk about baptism by fire. I was like, wow. I can't say anything else about that. Then there, UNC Charlotte, UNC Chapel Hill, in housing and residential life with some amazing folks there that I know and love. And then I have to take a moment to talk about my 10 years at the University of Georgia, which I will always say was when I became a professional. That is when I truly became a professional. Folks like Jim Day, Dr. Brenda Richardson, Dan Hallenbeck, great folks who were my supervisors who truly grounded me and really, said, this is the way, this is what you need to be doing. I was able to go on semester C right after that. And for those of you who had that experience, it's an amazing experience. People who've seen me speak know that I always talk about semester C at least once because of that wonderful experience. I loved my time in Iowa. Daniel was the only person who came to visit me, so the rest of you, okay. Wonderful time as assistant dean of students at Iowa State University. I always tell people, I don't want anybody to talk bad about Iowa unless you're either from Iowa or you've lived there. Because you don't know Iowa until you go there. There's something about the community there that is tremendous. And I loved it. It was a wonderful experience. I will say that, little tidbit for you, a lot of people don't know this, but SJTI would not have happened if it wasn't for ACPA. Jamie Washington and I had put together a program that we were going to do. It was a pre-con. And all of a sudden we got this call from the program chair, and this is something I've always despised. It's when they call and say, hey, we see you've got a topic. We got 2 other people over here that have the same topic. Why don't y'all talk to each other and put together one program? Because, we like the topic, but we don't want there to be 2 GLPT programs because Lord knows that's too many. We didn't want 2 pre-con, so we just want y'all to talk. And of course, I'm the one that went to Jamie and was like, I don't know these people. And they happen to be Kathy O'Bear and Mark Cullen. And so we got together and chatted for the first time about this pre-convention workshop, which propelled us to this lifelong friendship, which then ended up with us having a conversation in 1998 to pull together a social justice training institute to really and truly have people engage in dialogues around inclusion, not on the surface, but get to a level where we can really do some great work. And it is because of ACPA that we have the Social Justice Training Institute. I will say my 5 years at ACPA in the international office, I know will assist me in my work as ACPA president because I've been able to see the insides, and I have tremendous respect for my international office staff members because I know what it is. I know what it is. I'm definitely doing some consulting now, I think many of you know, and then I'll end with my wonderful, wonderful family of leadership where I am now, which continues to, I just wished for you that you could work for a group of people and for an entity where you smile when you're on a conference call, where you smile when you get an email from your colleagues, when you smile when you have some tough things to talk about, that you really and truly have to be in community with each other. I wish that for you. I wish that for you. I hope that you know that I'm just tremendously grateful for everybody and the things that we continue to do in our work. So I'm just going to take just a little bit of time, not long at all, actually, and share with you first of all this headline from the Chronicle of Higher Education, and the headline at the top reads pretty much: War, Political Frustration, Race, Student Unrest. The Chronicle of Higher Education, that date, September 2nd, 1968. September 2nd, 1968. War, political frustration, race, student unrest. I share this with you because this ain't new, folks. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a campus and I've had a well-meaning white professional come to me and say, "Isn't it the worst it's ever been, Vernon, for people from historically marginalized groups? Isn't it horrific? Isn't it the worst?" And my response, no, it's not. It's just being filmed. Yes. Students from historically marginalized groups have told us for decades that our campus is chilly, hostile, they are fearful for their lives. And we've ignored them. We've not believed them. that we as the collective higher education, my mother helped me put it in perspective when I was home recently, and she said, I was kind of talking about some of the work I was doing and how, I got to be careful as I navigate communities and what does it mean, and I don't know how people are going to receive me. And she said, Vernon, so what you're telling me is that it's worse now than when I was a freedom rider in North Carolina, getting on buses, going around to communities to talk and engage around inclusion, fearing for my life, and then coming back and trying to graduate in 4 years. You're saying it's worse now? You need to take several seats, Vernon, right now. And of course my response was, yes, ma'am. That does not in any way say that currently there's a context. And there is hurt, fear, anger, frustration, and pain. Not taken away from that. I'm just saying, please know that it is not new. And we need to continue through this cycle to the next round and making sure that we are being supportive of our students. We have been bold. ACPA has been very bold, and I want to share a few things. It's important for you to know that we have a bold history. And many of you know this, but I just want to ground us in this. ACPA was founded by a group of women professionals who were not allowed to be in other associations. And they wanted to gather and say, we need a place, we need a community right here. We need to recognize that that's where we began. We began with women who were not allowed in other associations. We were the very first association to find a space in terms of affinity groups around professionals of color, LGBTQ+. We also were part of that. We were really centered to that movement around moving from student services to student development, and then from student development to student learning. We were centered in that. We work with NASPA to develop the professional competencies. And we truly, engaged conversations around what does it mean in terms of that. We've got a bold mission statement that Craig really and truly worked with our governing board to move forward in terms of making sure that we boldly transform higher education. ACPA transformed higher education by creating and sharing influential scholarship, shaping critical reflective practice, and advocating for equitable and inclusive learning environments. So that's who we are. We're being bold. Our strategic imperative for racial justice and decolonization continues to be in the center of all that we do. Huge shout out to Stephen John Coy and all of the folks who worked on this document. I got to take a moment because I really believe that I know that people see the document and they go, wow, what does this mean? And I've told this before, this whole concept around we are a part of this document. And the way I frame it, this is just my bullet points that keep me grounded. It's about building self-awareness, number one. Secondly, it's about embracing the possibility framework. What's next? What's important for us? It's about unpacking dominant narratives that may be a part of who we are. Dominant narratives that could be unintentionally marginalizing folks. And it's about attending to history, reconciling the past, and the key here is love as the foundation. That's it. And so when people are really spinning around this document, I just say, this is what it is. And so for me, the last one, love as a foundation, the way I frame this is, the cancel culture is in no way embedded in this document. There's no way you can be about the strategic imperative and be about the cancel culture. You can't be. Because it's about relationship. When you see that word love, it means relationship also. We need to be in relationship with each other. That doesn't mean we can't hold each other accountable, But it's also about, we need to know that the person in front of us is on the journey with us. And what does that look like? So here are a few things I'm just going to highlight that I just want to let you know that I'm going to be focused on this year. So the first one is around, we're going to continue to provide tools for you around racial justice and decolonization. We know that the initial document was around the framework and the theoretical framework that's really important for us to really and truly move us forward in terms of research. And we're going to continue to roll out additional tools. Our entities are doing that already, doing some great work in terms of what does this mean for them, and we're going to assist them in that. Really going to talk about PD 365 with our Director of Professional Development in terms of making sure that we provide ongoing opportunities for all of us as we move forward. We're doing the countdown to the 100th anniversary, so really excited about 100 years of ACPA. I gotta talk about it is not ACPA or NASPA, folks. It's ACPA and NASPA. We must realize the fact that we are partners in the higher education arena. We need them, they need us. And it's so important because around policy and around how we show up in the things that we do, specifically around higher education issues, we need to be in partnership. And I've actually had conversations with the NASPA leadership about what are we going to do in terms of a common voice that we can really share to our members and their members about this tagline, which is important. Really want to make sure that we focus on student mental health. Most folks don't realize that when ACPA became an entity, we were actually a part of ACA. It's ACA now, American Counseling Association. We were sort of a subset of that group. So we were born with counselors. And then in the 80s, we disaffiliated and became our own association. So it's really important for us to go back to our roots in terms of being connected with our counselors on our college campuses. I was lucky to speak at the National Conference for School Counselors, and they were so excited. Many of them were ACPA members who were there. Some of them had left and wanted to come back, and I said, y'all come back because we're going to do some stuff this year around student mental health. I'm going to continue to support our entities, which is extremely important. We're going to look at some specific things for our grad prep faculty. We're going to answer the question, what's next? In terms of support for job search and career advancement. Past President Kent Porterfield is going to be leading an initiative where we really look at, and we had some focus groups here, where we really try to talk about, so what does it mean in the next round when we come to job search and career advancement? We know that our current models are not working, and this is no spoiler alert, TPE at NASPA is not yielding the results that NASPA really and truly wants. They know that. And so we need to be in conversation with what we need to be. And then really want to focus on preparing. Some of you have seen the focus groups that we're having. You saw the email around certification and what that is and what it looks like. We're joining NASPA to have that conversation and engage. Some of you may remember this program book. In 2002, we were in Long Beach, California, where I had the pleasure of serving as your convention chair. It's so eerie and it's like freaky. It's like serendipity. What's that word?
Serendipity.
Serendipity. Yeah, it sounds like an ice cream flavor. We're going back. And I'm so excited that Bernie agreed to be on this journey with me. Bernie and his team are so amazing. And there's going to be so much joy and excitement when we come to the West Coast. And I want you to join us. Only a few things that I just want to share with you around the convention that I'm going to be focused on. Couple of things. I really truly believe that we have done some amazing work in engaging in conversations at the convention through caucusing. I just want to let you know that I will be completely honest with you. Caucusing is not the only way to have conversations around issues of inclusion, and I'm going to make sure that we continue. Let me be clear. Caucusing is not going anywhere. Okay? Let's be clear. You can tweet that. Caucusing is not going anywhere. And there are other ways in which we can dialogue around issues of inclusion that include indigenous ways of knowing, include making sure that we talk about maybe liberation and hope, maybe emotional labor. There are so many ways in which I want to make sure that when you come to the convention and you want to engage in these conversations, you can pick something that would be connected to who you are as a person and where you are in terms of your level of acknowledgement and growth around these issues. That's the key for me. I'm going to have some presidential spotlight programs where we have some topics that are really focused on things that you want to see and hear. We have a rich history within the LGBT community here at ACPA, and I just want to make sure that we highlight that and talk about some of those historical pieces. I'm going to support higher education graduate programs in California. Many of you don't know that the majority of graduate students who graduates from higher ed programs in California stay in California. We need to honor that and be supportive of that, and what can we do in order to support that in different ways? Definitely want to outreach to community colleges, tribal colleges, and Hispanic serving institutions. There's a black male network in California that we want to connect with, and really and truly within colleges and universities. We are truly going to welcome California, because those of you Californians that are here now, I know that it's tough, and we're excited that we're going to bring this to you, and I want you to bring all your friends, relatives, and children, and aunts and uncles and cousins to join us in California, because we're going to have a party for our California residents that they've never seen before. We got you. Asian American student support, I want to make sure that we do something very specifically around our Asian API students and what does that mean. And then I'm really keen on this access to our convention. What can we do in order to financially support people who may not be able to go, specifically folks who may be in job transitions and unemployed? And that's happening a lot. That's happening a lot in higher education, and I want to make sure that I'm going to have some conversations with the foundation around how can we be supported with some of our corporate partners in that sort of way. You heard about my mom and dad. Warden and his team met when they were both high school teachers. My dad walked around the corner, bumped into my mom. She dropped her papers. He went down to grab them. They locked eyes. They rose, looked at each other, walked away. My dad thought, I'm going to marry that woman one day. My mom thought, that is the most arrogant man I've ever met in my entire life. Fast forward to the dance that was happening in the auditorium about a month or two later. Actually, it was a high school cafegematorium. And my mom was on one end of the dance floor of the high school cafegematorium. My dad was on the other end. And one student went to my mom, one student went to my dad, brought them to the center of the high school cafegematorium under the disco ball. I know what you're thinking. It's a Lifetime movie. It is. And they danced for the first time. And they kissed. And then bam, I was born. Not in that moment, but. I share this with you because people ask me sometimes, where did your passion for equity and inclusion come from? And I truly blame my parents for it. We call the day after, we call the December holidays D-Day in our house because from the 1st of December to the middle of January, we have to keep the house immaculate. And I remember growing up as a kid, we would get up every morning and we'd have to clean the house from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. so it would be ready at 8 a.m. every day. And my house had to be immaculate the entire month of December. And I think many of you know why. It's because my parents as teachers and former teachers would have former students come by. It was a revolving door the entire month. Students coming by with pictures of their family, talking about their successes, talking about some of their struggles, thanking my parents for being great mentors. I see that even to this day. Former students come by my parents' house. And I do believe that seeing that visual of people from all walks of life, all genders, all gender identities, before I even knew what gender identity and sexual orientation was, all faiths, all colors, in my house, constantly in December, every year since I can remember, truly informs the way I see the world, the way I see the world. So Warden and his team are in their 80s now, and my mother talked about coming up here to see me, and she said, so what are my choices? And I said, well, you can come here to Nashville and see me for my presidential address, or you can wait and come to Long Beach, because you went to Long Beach, you know, when I was convention chair. And she sat there and she looked at me and she said, yeah, I want to go to Long Beach. I'm like, okay. I truly am blessed to have a wonderful family. It's just tremendous. And I wish for you, and I know we all have different family dynamics. And people who know me know that I always talk about my family, because there's always a story about something that's going on. But I want to tell you that I believe the greatest philosopher that ever lived was Della Wall Ingram. She was my grandmother. And even though she's no longer physically with me right now, she used to always say to us one simple thing. May the work I've done speak for me. May the work I've done speak for me. ACPA, we have work to do. Please join me on this journey. Thank you.